For those who don't know, we got Izzy, we got Owl of Archives, we got the Mint God, and we got your guy here, Hooks. All right, discussing all things Marvel, answering questions from the street.
I mean, they're going into the dark dimension at the end of the movie, so we'll see. And he doesn't have the time stone this time, so
we'll see. Did anyone notice that? Okay, the dark dimension links to basically every universe in Marvel. Okay, it serves like not a nexus of all realities, but like a hub, a network hub, kind of. Mm-hmm. It's at the same time the farthest realm, but at the same time the closest, because of how easy it is to access other dimensions through that dimension. Right. So in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., when Robbie Reyes takes the Darkhold, he's returning it to the dark dimension.
That's good. I needed to know what he went with. I thought he was going to hell.
No. How do you know that was the dark dimension?
It's something that they mention. He's like, but the thing is, we know that Dormammu knows certain spells that usually only followers of Chthon know. He also knows spells that are Sidorak based. He knows spells from other entities that are higher level in regards to the mystic hierarchy.
But you have to have something tangible in the actual series, movie, or something on that side of the MCU, even if it isn't 100% canon, to give you that. You can't just take that out of the comic book and then, because you know it exists, and say, oh, that's what it is. There's no way. We don't have any Dormammu. There was no Dormammu in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
We know that. No. We know that if you're gonna just look at the character of Ghost Rider, he is, Ghost Rider is Johnny Blaze or Robbie Reyes or whichever one. They have the spirit of Zarathos in them, which is under control, which is being controlled by Mephisto. Okay. It doesn't even go to the level of Dormammu.
All right, here's the thing. Okay, we know that in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., because the Darkhold was being used, even in the medium of electronically, a rift was forming to a dimension of fear and terror, where a person's own fears were manifesting.
But that would be the nightmare dimension.
Right, that's how I was like, this may be the nightmare dimension. But the thing is, in the comics, some dark dimension related storylines, the dark dimension is referred to as a dimension of fear and horror. So I'm like, okay, the writers need to go very, very specific. Okay, and then in the comics, the Heart of Monsters storyline, Umar herself, at the time she was ruler of the Dark Dimension, confirmed that the Dark Dimension also consists of at least 1,000 hell realms merged together. So the souls of the damned from at least 1,000 universes go to that realm. So what hell realms have in common is they are dimensions of fear, of horror, of suffering. So it links in.
I don't want
it's just not 100% certainty.
Yeah, it can't be 100% certainty. I wouldn't put that out there as if it was even 50% certainty, because Ghost Rider and Dormammu may have had some kind of interactions, but the reality of it is Nightmare is more of a Ghost Rider villain than Dormammu is. Mm-hmm. So they were trying to lead somewhere with the Ghost Rider story and him going somewhere. It would make more sense that he was either going to hell, that we know, ruled by Mephisto, or that he was going to Nightmare realm, ruled by Nightmare. You know what I'm saying? There's no connection whatsoever in the MCU from Ghost Rider to Dormammu. It's just not. It just isn't there.
Yeah, so, they don't really refer to Dormammu as a fear lord. the Fear Lords would be Despair, the demon known as Spite, who's Despair's twin sister. Even Mephisto is considered a Fear Lord. Another Fear Lord besides Nightmare is his daughter, the Dream Queen, and technically his son, Trauma.
What about Death? What about Death?
Death is a constant entity. That's like Death is a god of a god. If you want to make it a simple,
what's worshipped by gods. Even demons like Mephisto worship Death. That's
it's kind of interesting. We got our first sighting of her in the trailer.
Yeah.
In the Thor Love and Thunder trailer,
Yes, along with Uatu and the rest of them. But who were the other ones? That was a question. Because I picked out Uatu. I picked out that possibly had to be Death.
I'm confused because
Did you see the LT?
The Living Tribunal, yes, I saw them.
Okay.
Those were the first ones. And then next to them was Uatu. Across from them, I was like, yo, that had to be Death. And there was 2 extras. So there was 5 of them in total.
I saw one on the other side of Uatu. And
who was that?
I don't know who that was. I'm trying to still figure it out because it looked like Beta Ray Bill. And he does not belong in that.
No, he don't.
But there's one more statue that everybody's overlooking on the right-hand side of the Watcher. You got to look, and you see it.
I got to see the trailer. I got to see the trailer again.
So all right, Izzy, you've been like a little silent out here, man. What's going on, brother?
Man, he's been watching this whole thing.
Yeah.
He's been watching the whole time.
I've just been dropping gems. I've just been listening.
So what you said you saw it as well? Like what did you get from it?
I see like the hammer thing in the silhouette of him, like the horse thing of his face coming out. That's what I seen. Yeah.
Do you think in any way, shape, or form that because y'all have a lot more knowledge than I do? Let's put that out there. But what happened?
The next Thor.
What happened?
A segue to doing something
Beta Ray?
for him. Yeah.
Okay. All right, I get that.
Get Beta Ray Bill and Love and Thunder. I got money on it.
Okay.
Wait a minute, though. The face looked like Beta Ray Bill, right? Like a horse face?
And a hammer thing with the double hammer.
I just saw the horse face, but it just doesn't make sense. Why would Beta Bill be enshrined with? Let's name them now.
Uatu?
I know the rest of them. It was Living Tribunal. It was Uatu. It was Death. It was Eon, and it was Infinity.
Wait. Eon and Infinity?
Yeah.
Can we please tap into who is Eon and who is Infinity? I've heard these names before. I don't know the significance, so I am going to be honest about that. Who are they?
I think Eon is one of Eternity's kids, if I recall correctly.
Could be.
Okay.
Eon is a representation of time. I would have to go back and read to really like give you, you know, what I do remember is that Eon is supposed to have some kind of power and significance with time.
Yeah.
Infinity is Eternity's sister. Not just his sister or its sister, but its other half. Eternity, Infinity, they actually merged together.
Yeah, they're two of the four corners of creation. The other 2 corners are death and oblivion.
So what was the significance of Beta Ray being in that circle?
That's what I'm saying. That's why when nobody else has said that, it looks like Beta Ray Bill, except a couple of, my Discord friends, and it doesn't make sense, which is why I'm not saying, but it really looks like Beta Ray Bill is in that corner though. So I saw 6 statues. Everybody's talking about 5. That's all I'm saying. It looks like,
I like that.
It looks like it's it looks like it's the the library or the Hall of All Knowing or whatever from the Jason Aaron run,
Okay.
where we learn about, like, everybody's acting like this whole thing about Odin putting the Great Storm in Mjolnir is new, but that story's in the Jason Aaron run.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
and we learn it when Mighty Thor, Jane Foster, goes there to learn more about everything that's going on. So, you know, I think that's where they're at. I think it's called Omnipotent City. And I think it's the library or the hall in there. I think that's where she is when we see that scene.
Here's a good question. We know that Kang, at least in the comics, has been interfering in the libraries of certain pantheons, including the Asgardian pantheon. Who's to say we may not see him in that Thor Love and Thunder? Because even though we didn't see his true form, it was definitely him. It was later revealed to be him. So he was manipulating stuff, to suit his needs.
Wait, tell us what you're talking about specific, Al, because I think I want you to.
Yeah, let's do this.
All right. It had to do with the Celestials. Okay. And I'm not sure if it was the Aaron run or a different writer's run, but we get a flashback of a younger Thor. He didn't have Mjolnir yet. He had forgot the damn name of the axe. He had an axe.
Stormbreaker.
Yeah.
What is it? Yarburn?
Yarborn, I think it was.
Something like that.
He had that one, and he encounters an adult Apocalypse. Apocalypse at the time is wearing his celestial armor, his celestial tech armor, and Thor, not realizing how powerful Apocalypse at the time, gets wrecked. So Odin's telling Thor, "Look, leave it alone," because Odin can see this, the hand of the Celestials getting involved in this. So he was like, he's telling Thor, "Back away, leave it alone, move on." Thor, his pride doesn't let him. He goes to that library. He's trying to find the secret of beating this one guy, and up comes the librarian, who happens to be Kang in disguise. And so Kang tells him, "Oh, here's a spell that can make your weapon sharp enough to cut that armor." And it was a spell specifically designed to enable a weapon to pierce that armor, celestial-based armor. It was basically, he was raised in Apocalypse twin children. Okay, and so he was trying to get rid of certain potential enemies.
I think I know what you're talking about, but it's killing me. Hold on.
I've stated this before. The advantage that y'all will always have over me is the wealth of knowledge that you gain from comics. A lot of my interactions, like a lot of people's interactions with Marvel, was, I'm inspired by these specific characters. I am motivated to dress and act like them. There's something about them that sticks out to me or represents me. I find myself inside of them. Like mine was Gambit. Now, I say all that to say this, right? My first interaction with Kang was years ago, because I'm also a gamer. And one thing that I like to do, I get up with my son and we play all the Lego games. There was a Lego game that came out called Lego Superheroes 2. That was my first interaction with Kang. That was actually voiced by the guy that played in Home Alone. I can't get his name right now, but he was in Home Alone when he got lost in New York, and he has that very interesting voice. But he played Kang, and that was my interaction with Ravana, the city of Chronopolis, and how much he conquered everything. So I never known anything other than him than he was like a really big bad, enough that Lego built a whole storyline about him that a few people that played the game that I know of, they said it kind of fell in line with certain stuff that was in the comics. I can no longer confirm nor validate it, but these are the things I heard. Now, CJ, you said this is like your favorite villain. What about him made him your favorite villain? Like, what stuck out to you?
Well, I'm an old school head. as far as been collecting since 1983, 84. So, you know, Kang is my favorite. One of my favorite movies of all time, or actually favorite sequels of all time, is Back to the Future. I've always been into time travel and all of that stuff. So I think that was what really, really brought me to, you know, pay attention to Kang in the first place. Then there were, you know, certain stories where he, you know, they retconned him to be the Pharaoh, and they retconned him to had influenced Apocalypse's ascension into super mutant. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. He's just, because he's been able to be everywhere in the Marvel timeline, it just makes him that much more cool of a villain. And for someone like me who's a history buff and in the time travel, he's just the perfect villain for somebody that's, you know, into the stuff I'm into. That's really it. The other thing, I found it out. At least I know the name of the twins. The Apocalypse twins.
Uncanny Avengers.
Or Uriel and Elman. But,
yeah, Uncanny Avengers #6.
Okay, so I thought it was 7, but okay. So yeah, we're looking at Uncanny Avengers #6 and #7. Go ahead, Al, because I didn't want you to lose. That was a real gem that you had right there.
Yeah. See, the funny thing is, Kang missed out on the opportunity to be the one to raise Apocalypse. He missed out on it by over 10 years because Baal, the nomad or warrior chieftain Baal, found Apocalypse as a baby first. Let's see.
Right, yeah. It's actually at 6 and 7. Uncanny Avengers 6 and 7.
Yeah, here it is. I'm looking at Thor got drunk.
Huh?
Thor got drunk and he encounters her. I'm gonna. I mean,
maybe I
can this thing. Crap! I'm trying to show it, but
put it like, what you can do is you can put it inside the chat room. Everyone will be able to go look at it. Later on, when we edit, we'll be able to take that picture, add it to the video.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I'm looking at it. Thor encountered him when he was drunk, and just got his butt whooped. Let me see. And then Thor uses the axe. He does damage the armor, but no, the armor starts healing.
And it's Yarnborn. I don't know. Yarnborn. It's Yarnborn.
Yarnborn, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Yeah, we go too far all over the place. We know, and that was the other thing I wanted to say, Chris. It isn't an advantage, man. It's just a different point of view. You know what I mean? Like, if we were all comic book heads at the same level, we would only be able to talk from that point of view. I think what's dope is that, you know, you came into, you know, loving this type of stuff a different way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Same with Izzy, same with me. We're all different in that way. So I don't think it's so much of an advantage because, you know, I can look at it and say, I can never look at something with the fresh eyes that you can because I've been looking at it for so long. I'm going to always see stuff from the 60s, stuff from the 70s when I'm looking at something from Marvel. Because, you know what I mean? Because I've studied it. I mean, I've studied these comics like it was a college course.
Hold up. Not to mean to cut you off, but issue 6, I found it. The librarian that Thor was talking to was actually Loki, but it wasn't the real Loki. That was Kang in disguise.
That's fire.
So imagine if some of the Lokis that we saw in the Loki series, which takes place in the MCU, in the multiverse, were actually Kang in disguise.
They're like we're gonna see Kang in disguise in all kinds of places. We probably already. I thought that I saw Kang in a couple places. I'm not gonna mention yet because it just doesn't make sense. But you know,
You hiding your gems?
no, I mean the most obvious one is what's his name from Iron Man 3? The kid.
When he showed up at the funeral?
Yeah. I forgot his name already. It's been so long.
But you think he was the kid that helped him do all that work, or you think he was like just the one that showed up at the funeral?
No, I think Harley Keener could be retconned into being a variant of Kang. And should be because that kid gave Tony the jewels that he needed to become confident in how he creates, and basically that kid helped him find his superpower.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When he was going through all of that mental stuff and having those flashbacks and anxiety attacks and all of that.
So was that his first Peter Parker? Is that what? Because you see how like Peter Parker influenced him at a different point in his life. I'm not talking about a superhero. We're talking about the influence of a kid.
No, I don't think. I think they should retcon Harley Quinn into being Kang. We never saw his parents. He had a real crazy sense of humor, just like Jonathan Majors Kang did. You know what I'm saying? He Who Remains. We already know you can have a black Loki. So why can't you have a white Kang in the MCU? I think that, so that I was just speaking to your point that I think that Kang's been hiding out, and that's one of the things I love about Kang. And I think that it would be dope if they retcon Kang to different places in the MCU history, going all the way back to Iron Man 3.
Okay, here goes something that actually lends credence to your theory. In the comics, one of the variants of Kang is the Iron Kid, who's basically a teenager and who builds his own Iron Man suit. Okay, so when Steve Rogers, I guess he uses one of the Infinity Gems or whatever, actually travels over 12,000 years to the future. He actually meets the Immortus.
What, Kid Immortus?
No. Immortus, the actual He Who Remains. Immortus. He meets, I think, Rama-Tut. No, he meets Kang and he meets the Iron Kid.
Yeah. I just want to say something. I was the first one online for a very long time saying that Immortus was going to be in Loki. People tried to take credit for it from me, whatever. I already knew it was going down from different things that I was told and saw. Then it came to be, but I'm going to the side and say that I could be wrong. I do not know, and I cannot confirm at this point. I doubt my own theory on this now that I'm seeing what Michael Williams is a really slippery guy. I cannot say anymore that Immortus is actually, that He Who Remains is actually the MCU version of Immortus. And here's why.
Okay.
He Who Remains was an old, nasty looking being at the end of time who created the timekeeper to go back in time. The MCU version, He Who Remains, is a younger looking Nathaniel Richards who still created the timekeepers, but they just weren't real. So this version of Kang, who is He Who Remains, could really just be the MCU version of He Who Remains. And that we might still see Immortus show up in the future.
Okay.
I just want to, I'm not somebody who acts like he thinks he knows it all and can't make a mistake.
No, we see something that's lending your theory credence when he tells Sylvie, "See you soon." that right there.
That's where I'm like, okay, that was a mortis. You can't tell me nothing.
Yeah, that was.
But what if that's
because
still
Kang
just
would never? Kang wouldn't do that. Kang's mentality, as evidence, basically every version of Kang, even in the comics, didn't have that mentality.
Right.
Okay?
That's the mortis. But
yeah,
it could also be he who remains. That could just be a he who remains. So, it's still up to Marvel to clarify that.
Yeah.
When we talk about Kang and where he could show up, that's what makes Kang so dope. He could show up anywhere.
Yeah. Here goes something. It's not really mentioned in the Book of Vishanti, even though the Ancient One kind of indirectly references it, and so the Strange. Whenever someone uses, or whenever someone time travels, especially using magic, they actually pass through Immortus' realm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Immortus' realm serves as a buffer to keep them from aging to death.
It's called Necropolis.
Yeah, it's actually in the Realms of Magic source book. CJ, I believe I sent you a digital copy, a PDF of that.
Yeah.
Okay. And the funny thing is, like, Kang himself has gone there and he found the skeleton of Immortus, thinking, "Oh, well, I'm the one that." No, Immortus still existed. It's just that he assumed the guise of a skeleton. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we know that Thor encountered Immortus in there. Okay, when he used time hacks. So my thinking is, in the MCU. The Book of the Vishanti may have been in one of those realms that Immortus had set up, one of those like pocket dimensions or dimensional nexus locations that were set up throughout the multiverse, okay, to indirectly influence things. Okay, for instance, in what's this thing? We know that. The Mount Wundagore was one of those places, okay. Mm-hmm. Especially in regards to chaos magic, okay. But the thing is, Marvel, at least in the comics, confirmed that both Wanda and Immortus themselves are chaos generators, but Immortus is also a temporal energy generator. So it stands to reason that we may see, if we see Immortus again and or Kang again, we're definitely going to eventually see Wanda again.
Well, we also saw during the Multiverse of Madness Professor X and a specific version of Professor X with the yellow chair. Now, I'm going to go into what I originally thought. I thought this just because of what he said to Professor Strange, that this is the same one from, I think it was like Days of Future Past X-Men. Because at the end of that X-Men, once Wolverine got back, he was in a different, like looked like a first model, like the first model chair of like the yellow one that he was going to build. Right. Just looked weird as hell. So I figured like maybe that was it. And then over time, he finally got the front for like some armor. But I thought that was the connection of both I was about to say Spider-Man, that's crazy, of both Professor X's. Like, and that would mean, what any version of it would mean, the presence of mutants. So I know that one of the biggest X-Men fans on here is. How do you feel about that,
man? Like I told you, I was well, this is like a little bit off of it, but my introduction to the Illuminati was different characters. And I remember I touched bases with somebody on that. I always thought Black Panther was on the Illuminati. Namor. And my impression, before I name all the other characters, I thought it was my impressions was all of the intelligent members of Marvel, like Reed, Strange. The thing, and Strange was actually on the chair when I was introduced to the Illuminati. So it was kind of weird for me to see, that whole thing play out like that.
Yeah.
Joe, but how do you feel about the idea of the presence of the mutants? Like, which mutants do you think we're going to show up? Like, it's going forward. We have a few movies and series coming out from Marvel. What do you think likely is the next spotting of mutants?
Maybe Rogue or Wolverine.
And where do you think Rogue will pop up?
And the next probably Captain Marvel.
So the Marvels movie.
Yeah.
CJ, how do you feel about the presence of mutants being represented by Professor X? And what does that mean for this future?
I mean, it's obvious, mutants are already here. In the 838, they've ascended to the highest level of power in the Illuminati. But as far as the 616 goes, we haven't seen a mutant show up yet. I believe that the first mutant that should show up should be Namor, because Namor is the first mutant, period. In Marvel.
Quick question. Technically, isn't Scarlet Witch kind of like a mutant based on who her father was?
But she wasn't revealed to be a mutant. And even though they did film, even though Michael Fassbender, how do you say his name?
Fassbender.
I like Fassbender. He bends fast.
Even though he pause. And so even though he supposedly filmed something, or was supposed to, him or the what's the other guy? Well, no, I think it was Fassbender was supposed to film something, or he did. That was supposed to clue in to us that Magneto was actually Wanda's real father. They didn't do it.
There's a question on that one. Go ahead, continue. But there's a question related to that, because in that quick view of her house, people are speculating online that there's a picture in the background, and it's the same, because you named him Michael Fassbender, that it was the same one from when he was out there and he rolls himself up at the end to fight them. I forgot which movie it was, but they said that that's a picture of him because
when he's
the way
fighting
it was
the
positioned.
Sentinels.
There you go.
I'm gonna look for what craziness people are talking about, but I think that's utter bullshit. There's no way in the world that Marvel is taking shit from Fox and making it first of all, there's no way Marvel is taking shit from Fox and making it canon in the MCU, as if to write it that way. Two, Marvel's not taking shit seriously from Fox stories anyway. It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, they'll take tidbits, but they're gonna say no. We're gonna make it better.
Right? They might take the actor. They might take the story. The actor that represents the parts of the story that we all might have liked, but they're not gonna the canon from the Fox,
right,
and bring it into the MCU. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And it would lessen the MCU in a lot of ways. So as far as mutants go, I believe that the term mutants, I'll put it out there, I believe the term mutant is going to come up in She-Hulk. I think that's the first time we're going to hear the term.
Just to interject, technically, because hybrids are random mutations.
Oh, here we go.
Hold up.
Oh,
Hybrids are random
ladies and
mutations.
gentlemen, get ready for the Al show when it comes
Okay.
to
Sky.
Gene X.
Hold on, Sky. Before they stated that Agents of Shield is not part of the main MCU universe continuity, was basically one of the first mutants. But there's another. They pointed something in the Black Widow movie.
Wait. Sky. Wait, and Agents of Shield?
Yeah,
Are we talking about Daisy?
Daisy. Yep.
No, Daisy's an Inhuman.
No. Daisy's father was a mutate. He was not an Inhuman.
Here we go. I'm going to call you Eugene X. Knock it off.
Hold on. Black Widow. Technically the first random mutant that in the main MCU universe was Ursa Major.
Good gracious.
Wait. Here we go.
Oh my
in
God.
Shield, in the Shield series, Daisy later reveals that her father, that she uncovered the origin of her abilities from, she is an Inhuman whose genetic abilities were activated by her father's unstable DNA rather than through Terrigenesis. I knew I was right. She was an Inhuman because Agents of Shield focused so much on it.
Her mother was Inhuman. Her father was a human that gave himself powers through a formula.
If you're talking
matters. Agents of Shield is not canon.
It is. They fixed that. They fixed that, bro.
They haven't. I mean, until we see one character besides Phil Coulson come back to the MCU from that side, it is not canon yet. Y'all are bugging out.
It's not canon.
It's gonna be it's gonna be another universe. It's gonna be an alternate universe. Yeah. Do you see what they did for the whole? What was it? 8 seasons?
They literally time traveled, and they created so many universe.
They created so many universes themselves. Like what? Yeah. Knock off. That is not anything to do with the first time we're going to see mutants or get any acknowledgement of a mutant. We got teases. Ursa Major was a tease, of course. Scarlet Witch
but Inhumans are real. You know that because they used the exact same actor to play in this video as Black Bolt.
About that, I'm totally happy. Not about much.
Black Bolt, at least in the comics, is actually a random mutant of the Inhuman species.
Exactly.
Okay, so technically he is a random mutant. He's one of the first random mutants in the MCU. Another one is Namor, the dog, Lockjaw.
Namor is the first mutant in Marvel. Namor, that's it. Namor is also the first superhero or superpowered character in Marvel. Period. Namor,
sure?
Yes. Namor goes all the way back. Namor was the first character to fly before Superman. You guys don't understand the power of Namor. Is my favorite. Namor and Thor are my favorite heroes in Marvel. You know what I'm saying? So if you look back when Namor was created before all of this shit. And then Aquaman was DC biting off of him.
Yep.
That's what it is. It's not, you know what I'm saying?
So Namor's older than Blade?
Yeah. Way older.
So what I'm saying is that Namor should be the first character that is acknowledged as a mutant. Obviously, the first mutants that we got to see in the MCU were the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. You know what I'm saying? But we didn't get the confirmation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But then when we got in WandaVision, we saw that she had her powers. She had some sort of power way before she came in contact with the Mind Stone.
Yeah, she was a mystic mutant, but the thing is, in her case, it turns out she was from a bloodline of witches.
That still has nothing to do with it because she never picked.
No, it does, because so is Agatha Harkness is also from a bloodline of witches.
So what?
Okay.
So what? She studied. Wanda never.
She studied. Wanda never studied, but she had the raw power. It's just that it didn't really unlock until she got exposed to that the mind gem.
That was hex powers, Al. That was her hex powers. That had nothing to do with witchcraft whatsoever. The first lesson in witchcraft Wanda in the MCU got, as well as the one in the comic books, is from Agatha Harkness and the Darkhold.
Technically, in the comics it was retcon. It was from a gypsy, the gypsy tribe that Wanda is from. Hold on. The gypsy tribe that Wanda was from. Okay, they had a gypsy leader that she specialized in divination magic. Okay, what we didn't know is at the time the hat that she was wearing was a disguised serpent crown, and she actually detected the untapped power that Wanda had. Okay, and so it was in a storyline where we find out that Set was trying to thwart Chthon's plans.
Right.
Okay, so that's why you got to be careful. But then Marvel goes and retcons that when they say, Wanda and Quicksilver are not mutants, they're mutates. And so I'm like,
okay, so the whole point, and I mean, and now Marvel has now said that Namor is not a mutant, he's a mutant / mutate himself. So what the point is, this is why I don't like to get into this.
Yeah,
it's so convoluted and they don't have it together yet.
Yeah.
That, as far as I'm concerned, Wanda is a mutant. As far as I'm concerned, Quicksilver is a mutant. They let politics and legal stuff onto this storyline, which just made a whole bunch of plot holes and ugliness for fans of those characters, as well as for Namor. I'm hoping that they fix it. I trust Ryan Coogler though. So I'm not really going to worry about it. But that's it. The first mutants that I ever saw in the MCU are going to end up being Wanda and Pietro Maximoff. The ones that acknowledged the first one to be acknowledged may or may not be Namor, but it should be. I believe that because we're getting the legal and penitentiary system for supernatural beings in She-Hulk, and then we saw that prison that looks like a big house in the trailer. Right. It's only if you've ever watched the cartoons, the Avenger cartoons, the first story arc is about the big house, the cube, the vault, and the penitentiary system where they're keeping these different powered beings. Yeah. And Whirlwind is caught by the Wasp and Ant-Man, put in the big house, and they realize that his dampening collar, Whirlwind's dampening collar, isn't working effectively on him and they say it in the cartoon, because he's a mutant.
Yeah, they need an inhibitor. They need an inhibitor collar.
They needed a stronger so then you see even the racism come out of Nick Cage, who had some kind of feelings towards mutants. You know what I mean? Where he was disregarding
Nick Fury.
Yeah, Nick Fury wasn't feeling the mutants, and this is talking about the cartoon. So the point being is that if they're gonna have the Abomination in there, he's got that special cell that they first showed from Shang-Chi's end credit. Oh no, not end credit, from
the fight scene in the middle of the movie.
Yeah.
Middle of the movie when he was fighting
Wong.
And then now we see it in the trailer. We see the big house, or whatever that big superhuman penitentiary is going to end up being. And then we know that Jennifer Walters is a lawyer, and she's gonna have to start speaking towards the
Right.
legality of holding these criminals.
I think that's where Daredevil comes in.
Daredevil comes in and have to
Maybe
have
Jessica Jones.
maybe Jessica. I'm not a fan of Ritter.
Netflix's version.
Yeah, Ritter. But I'm not saying that she's not a good actress. I don't think that was the right role for her. She could have played Agatha Harkness for all I, you know what I mean? But
He could play the younger version of Agatha Harkness.
yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
She would be perfect for that. But you know, Megan Fox is like Megan Fox was always like Mary Jane to me. So
Okay.
I'm thinking that they're going to start to show us the classifications for superpowered beings. You know, the prison for the radioactive beings, the prison for the mutants, the prison for the enhanced, you know, and that literally leads right into Black Panther in the fall.
Well, we already saw how they can imprison magical characters. Okay. And the funny thing is, in the comics, the one that designed that stuff for S.H.I.E.L.D. was Forge. So it's a great way to introduce Forge. He's been a contractor for S.H.I.E.L.D. for years.
I was saying that too, because I think this guy, Anthony Ramos, the one that's supposed to be in Ironheart, to me, you can't look at that guy and not see Forge. I mean, I'm reaching. I know that, you know, but I think Forge is coming in earlier than, I'm thinking he's going to be one of the first mutants we see.
Yeah.
He's got
to see. Clea technically would be also a mutant because she's half 14 and half, even though she's a random mystic mutant, she's a hybrid. So that will count.
So
then there's
so many.
Trauma is another one, but they haven't introduced him.
And then I put it out there too, because of the She-Hulk thing and talking about mutants. I'm really feeling like the doctors behind the studies for these beings are gonna have to show up too, to start explaining and building up the explanation for, because like we can't even get it together, the difference between the mutants and the mutates, and then in that, you know, the X gene mutants, and then what do you call it? The other ones, the
non-X gene
mutants and right. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna need to be the way that the multiverse is, and it needs to start the same way the explanation for the multiverse was like a little mention here, like in Far From Home, and then the next thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing. So I'm thinking mutants, we should start hearing the word and terms in She-Hulk. It makes the most sense.
Oh crap! I nearly forgot. Loki is another mutant. He's a random mutant of the frost giant species, even in the MCU.
Yep.
His father was so disgusted with, you know, siring a dwarf, basically a frost giant dwarf, that he left him to the elements, thinking, he's gonna die. I forgot.
Loki is actually the first mutant that we actually see.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and the thing is, Loki had hybrid kids. He's had hybrid kids with humans. In the comics, he's got what's his name? Agamemnon, who's the youngest of his kids. There's Hela.
Remember Loki's kid?
Wait, what? Say it again. Put that out there, because this was something that was told to me by CJ first and blew my mind. That Hela is actually Loki's sibling. Child.
No, yep.
His daughter.
From a witch, I believe. From a human witch.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't remember. No, Loki has way more kids though. Like Hela, that's not even
she's not even the oldest.
Yeah. Like when I say I don't remember any of his kids, Loki has kids. He's been out here. You know what I mean? with his bisexual self, doing
The
all
guy,
kinds
forget
of stuff.
bisexual. The guy is trisexual. He'll
Yeah,
try anything.
you know what I'm saying? So,
Wow, Loki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead,
I mean,
Loki.
you heard the term "screw the pooch." Well, he basically did, and that's how Fenris Wolf was born. You know?
What?
Yeah,
That's how who was born?
Fenris Wolf.
I heard of the word Fenris Wolf before.
Fenris Wolf is literally the ancestor of all the werewolves.
you saw Fenris Wolf in Ragnarok.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, when?
The wolf that Hulk was fighting.
That was Fenris Wolf?
That's
Yeah.
Fenris.
Okay, I'm glad that y'all mentioned this because this goes into another questions from the street. He loves the turtle. He laughs every time he sees it.
Come on, come on. Time is.
All right, real quick. All right, where we know that there's a Werewolf by Night coming out in October.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, the question was there any other mentions or introductions into werewolves before this segment that's coming out? Like because when you started talking about Fenris Wolf, I don't think anybody caught that. I didn't catch it.
Yeah,
and that's probably what due to your wealth of knowledge. But is there any way that you'll be able to?
For me,
yes.
The first clue for lycanthropy in the main MCU for me is Eternals.
Mm-hmm.
When Crow sapped the power from Ajax, and then they went into the cave, and then he gave the deviants into different. They morphed into different types of
creatures of myth.
Yeah, creatures of myth, where one was a wolf.
Wow.
And then another was a bird.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know what I'm saying? So
would the bird be the phoenix?
When they now,
no.
those deviants now to then roam free throughout the earth, they're taking life force from something, then they're to put it, you know what I mean? They're going to start turning different humans into, different, that energy is going to be there to change humans into different types of
beings of myth or power.
Right.
Okay.
Now,
I see that.
Saying that's the first plausible thing that I saw in the MCU that could have possibly had anything to do with werewolves. I'm not saying that that's what it's going to be. I'm not saying that it even makes sense to anybody else. I'm just saying that for me, I got excited when I saw that because in my own crazy mind, I can make it make sense and see werewolves coming from that. And meaning like they haven't even been here this whole time in this universe, and that they only started coming out because of the deviants getting that power from Ajax and then dispersing it throughout the earth.
Okay, here's something though. We know that at least in the comics, the Darkhold actually has two specific spells. One that can create vampires, undead vampires. Okay.
Yep.
And the other that can create curse-based werewolves.
Yep.
Okay. Werewolf by Night is Jack, aka Jack Russell. His ancestor became a werewolf due to reading the Darkhold, and it cast a curse on him.
Yep.
Okay. And so that curse became dormant in his bloodline, and that's how basically Werewolf by Night eventually became a werewolf himself, and his niece.
Yep.
His niece, who actually became a shield agent.
They left the middle. They left Europe and came to America. Yep. And you still had, I forgot what triggered them. Was it just the moon triggered them after?
No, I gotta review it. But here goes something else. there is one scientist that experimented on bonding animal DNA with human DNA to give enhanced abilities.
Sinister.
Carl Malice, and he was introduced in. Yeah, he was introduced in the Jessica Jones series. In the comics, he did. Huh?
Wait. He
Carl
was?
Yeah, he was in the Jessica Jones series. He was taking care of Jessica's mom.
Sinister did it too, didn't he?
No. Sinister didn't. The High Evolutionary did it.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Sinister was the one that gave the unlocked human genome research to Herbert Wyndham, who became the High Evolutionary.
Right.
Okay.
We're both right, because then Sinister was also working. He was also working with Ravencroft.
Yeah.
And that's where, you know, some of those vampires and those beasts were being experimented on the other side of the.
Here goes something else. Did you know that Sinister, at least in Marvel, was actually Jack the Ripper?
I did.
It was part. He needed gestational material, meaning he needed multiple uteruses for his research. It was termed the Black Womb Project. Eventually became that.
I think Sinister should be tied to the werewolf lineage.
Well, he's more tied to the organic vampire one, because he was a contractor for the Nazis.
When I look it up, it says Jack the Ripper was created by Mr. Sinister.
That was one of his guises.
Yeah.
It never got confirmed, so it's still out there.
That's what I'm saying. It's one of his. We just see his as a shadow in Colossus Bloodlines. The same shadow appears, and it's revealed to be Sinister.
Yeah.
So he's been influencing events even before the Russian Revolution, the October Revolution. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see what else.
We got to get ready to wrap this up. This was a good one. We've been going for almost an hour right now.
Yeah.
One
last thing. One last thing. Remember when
2,000 years later.
Beautiful. Listen, guys, this is an amazing meetup, and this is the type of stuff that we have to continue to do. Once again, for all the lovers of Marvel, we have Al the Archives. We got the Mint God, CJ. We got Izzy the Incredible, and of course, Hooks.
Yeah.
Your host for today. But welcome to In the Name of Comics. Catch y'all later.
Hold on. Don't forget. Please go to www.inthenameofcomics.com and subscribe to newsletters and all of our updates, so that we can let you know when the site's getting launched, when we're doing our next event. We will be in Chicago for that Comic-Con in August. So holler at us and let us know what you would like to talk about, hear about, or what you're looking for or willing to sell, because we buy collections as well. All right?
Yeah.